answer for this day. Please subscribe, like, share, put some comments, and hit the notification bell to my YouTube channel to get notified whenever new videos for more learnings about basic programming language. Okay, so lesson 3 is all about control structures. Now, it says here that control structures is considered as the heart of a Java programming language because we can create, enhance, modify, and convert simple program into a more complicated application that makes your program more efficient, useful, and convenient for the end users. So it is also used to have an order of execution of statements in the program. So we have a lot of types of the control structures, namely the sequence structure, and then the conditional structure, and last is the repetition structures. Now, before we proceed to those types, let us now discuss about the building blocks. Okay, the building blocks of control flows are enclosed with open and closed curly braces. Okay, so this is a very important, guys, to include in your program, no? The open and closed curly braces. But usually the open and closed curly braces is to signify the beginning and end of every class that you want to include. Sure, it executes the statements in the program starting from the first statement up to the last statement in the program sequentially. So from the word itself, you can easily understand now what is sequence structure. So ibig sabihin, it is done step by step. Okay, step by step. So you cannot go on with statement number 4 without executing first the statement number 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so it is done sequentially. So I have an example here. So how to compute the area of a circle, wherein you have to get the value for your pi, which is equal to 3.1416. And then you need to get the value for your radius. And for you to compute the area of a circle, so you need to use this formula. Area is equal to pi times r times r. Okay. So the best example then of a sequence structure is or was the program that I created on how to compute the customer bill, wherein in that program, you are required to input the purchase item, the quantity, the price, and then the money, diba? And you need to compute the total bill by multiplying the quantity and then the price. So by entering the sum or by entering the cash or the money that you have, so it will deduct the total bill from the money. Okay, so make sure that the money is bigger or higher than the total bill. Okay, so kasi normal naman yon when you are in your grocery. So make sure, halimbawa, umabot siya ng 1,000 o kaya naman ay 1,005. So make sure that we will be giving 3,000 pesos. Of course, you will give or you will receive your change afterwards. No? Okay? So that is a sequence structure, meaning to say you cannot be able to compute and you cannot be able to have your change without computing first the total bill and without giving the money. Okay? So that is sequence. No? Okay? It is very important that you must know the order, okay, the structure of the program. Okay, let's say in this example, you cannot be able to compute the area of a circle without giving the value for your radius, without giving value for your pi. So obviously, the pi is always equal to 3.1416. That's why we use the assignment statement here. So it is it has a fixed value to be used, no? So pi is equal to 3.1416. But in this case, you are prompted or you are advised to input a value for radius. And any value yun, guys, from the keyboard. Because we use here the integer that first input that read line. So I used here buffered reader. So it's up to you if you want to use the scanner util. Okay, as long as your program is running, well, there's no problem with me. Okay, so you have an options to be chosen. So in this case, the first statement that we have is for you to input value for your radius. And then the second statement that you have is assigning the value for your pi. And then the third statement is assigning the formula for us to compute the area. And the fourth statement is displaying the value of radius that you have entered from the keyboard. And then from fifth statement natin is displaying the value of pi, which is equal to 3.4216. And finally, the last statement that you have is getting the or displaying the area of a circle. Okay? So whatever the value that you will be entered in your keyboard, so it will be multiplied by 3.1416. And by the way, the radius, it will multiply by itself in order for you to come up with the area of a circle. So this is a good example of a sequence in which the statements are executed sequentially. Okay? And so when you run this program, so this will be the output. Okay, enter a value for radius. Let's say I input 100, then the value for radius is 100. Ayan. So the value for pi is 3.1416. And finally, the area of a circle is 3.1416. So you may now, I corrected yung t here, no? Kaya din sa output natin, wala siyang t. But when you run this program, so it will now become the area of a circle is. Okay? So you can try this example, no? Lahat ng mga example ko, guys, I advise you to try, so that you will have your copy. And you will have an example, of course, for you to do the different activities. Okay? So another one is, this one is your activity for sequence. So it has an output. Of course, if the given is like this, I need the codes, no? You have to provide. And do not PM anymore. Mama, what is the code for this activity? You have to think. You have to think based on the given example. Okay? So in this activity, you are prompted to display the final average. Let's say you enter grade for prelim, midterm, and finals. So you just divide them into 3. Okay, so when you say you're getting the average, you will just divide with the number of items that you have. Okay, so of course, if you're gonna input here a grade for prelim, it's 90, midterm for 90 as well, and then finals is 90 as well. So your average will be 90 also. Okay? Yan. So ito yung magiging output ng inyong program. So, just provide codes for this output. Okay, next is conditional expression. So, why do we need or why do we use the conditional expressions in our program? The use of conditional expression is to have an option, the user has an options to be chosen. Actually, there are 4 types of selection structure. 1 is if, 2 is if else, 3 is else if, and then 4 is a switch statement. These 4 can be used in your program. It depends upon with the needs of your program. Okay? So, lahat ng yan, pwede nyong gamitin. Depende sa pangangailangan ng inyong problem. Okay? Now, let us focus on the if statement. If you're gonna use the if statement in your program, so this is not the syntax. Again, when I say syntax, it is the format on how to use that command. Okay? So this will be a simple syntax for if statement, wherein you're gonna use the if keyword, okay, keyword or reserved word, and then the expression syntax or complex syntax. Why? Because you have a lot of statements here to be executed. Now, the meaning of if statement based on this lesson It says here the simplest form of statement but most important conditional expression. So here guys, you are going to execute one statement in the program only. Question, ma'am, how about in your second syntax? I have seen a lot of statements to be executed. And you said that you are going to execute only one statement, right? So, the meaning of this second syntax, guys, is this. Since you are enclosed, the three statements in the open and close curly braces, it will interpret by Java as 1. Okay? So, it will interpret by Java as 1. Kasi they are grouped into 1 already. If you have a lot of statements to be executed in the program, kahit na napakarami niyan, as long as they are enclosed with open and closed curly braces, they will consider by Java as one group. Okay? So, take a look at the example. I have here, it will display. I will input a number from the keyboard and then it will display if it is positive or negative. O kaya naman, it is a positive number. Okay? Let's say you have here, system.out.print, enter a number. Num is equal to integer that first int, input that red line. So this will be our expression. No? So if number is greater than 0, so it is being evaluated if it is true or false. Now if it is found true, it will execute or display this statement. Let's say you enter from the keyboard the value of num, which is equal to 10. Okay, if I will replace 10 into num into 10, it will become 10 is greater than 0. Do you think what is the result? Is it true or false? Can you answer me? What is now the result? 10 is greater than 0 using the relational expression. Ano guys? Okay, true. Because 10 is greater than naman talaga into 0, di ba? So, therefore, the result of this expression, guys, is true. So, therefore, the statement will be displayed on your screen. Now, what if I enter here negative 8? Is negative 8 greater than 0? What is the result? False. So, therefore, no action will be performed. Wala lang. Nothing happens. If, okay, in if statement, if the expression is not satisfied, no action will be performed. Okay, nothing will happen. Then, when you run your program, it looks like this. So, enter a number. Let's say I enter 20 here, no? So, 20 is a positive number, which is true naman. Okay? Yeah. So, another example. What if I'm going to input? Okay, so here guys, this is an example of a complex syntax, ano? Wherein you will encounter two statements here, right? The number you entered is plus number, then it is a positive number. So, when you run this program, ito guys, we use the open and close curly braces. So, it has the same concept, but it differs in statements, no? So, because here in second example, it has more than one statements to be executed. This will be your activity for if statement, no? So, you are going to enter, instead of entering grade, numerical such as 90, 85, 70. So, you may now use letter. So, once that you enter A, so it has an equivalent of excellent, then B for very good, C for good, D for fair, E for poor, then F for need improvement. Okay? So, this will be the example output. Okay? So, tingnan nyo na lang yung inyong lesson. Next lesson that we have is the if-else statement. So, here naman, in if-else statement, you will execute here two statements in the program. Wherein, this will be the syntax, the first syntax. if the expression, so I will just explain it to you. If the expression is true, okay, we need to evaluate the expression here whether it is true or false. If the expression is true, it will execute the first statement here. Now, if it is found false, it will execute or display the second statement. So, yun yung kaibahin niya sa if statement. So, here in if else statement, meron siyang i-display kahit na true or false ang maging value. Okay? So, in second syntax, ang kaibahan lang is that you have a lot of statements to be executed in every value that may come out when you evaluated your expression. Let's say, if the expression is true, or the result is true, this statement will be executed. So, in this, we'll group as one. Okay, so the Java will interpret this statement as one group. Okay, then the word else. Take note, no? So, there is no semicolon. Baka masanay kayo na always you put semicolon at the end of every statement. Now, in this case, yung else, there is no semicolon. Okay? Then, the second statement, guys. So, again, we use the open and close curly braces. Okay, so the same example that we have, we are prompted to enter or input a number from the keyboard. Let's say I input here 10. So, of course, the output should be the first statement. So, it is a positive number. If I will input -8, so this will display on your screens. Okay? So, the program has an option, no? Or the user has an option to be chosen whether you want to display the first statement or the second statement depending on the expression that you are available in your program. Okay? Now, so this will be the output of that example. Okay? And then this one is your activity for if-else statement. So just refer to your lesson. Now, next guys is, okay, so ito rin yun. The same lang din yung ginawa kong example, but you need to analyze guys, because there is a percentage here, no? Create a program that will input customer's name, purchase item, quantity, price, and cash. Compute the total bill and the change of the customer. So, merong condition na dito. Dagdag lang ako dun sa last example na pinakita ko sa inyo sa aking video. Yan. Okay? So, just provide codes for this output. Okay, so next is the else-if statement. So, ang kaibahan sa else-if statement, then if-else, saka if statement, dito you are going to execute na 2 or more statements in the program. As long as the condition is true, it will execute. And how is that? So, ito yun guys, no? So, this will be our syntax number 1. So, if the Boolean expression or the expression is true, it will execute the statement under it. Now, if it is found false, it will proceed to another Boolean expression to be evaluated. Now, if it is found true again, so it will execute this one. Then, if not, it will proceed to this one. Okay, if the result is false, it will proceed to another Boolean expression to be evaluated. Then, under this statement, so i-execute niya yun. So, meron din tayo ditong else. So, this is optional. When I say optional, it is not always required to include it in your program when you are using the if-else or the else-if statement. Make sure, guys, no, that Java kasi is so case sensitive. It must be written in small letter. And then, there is no space, Okay, and then, else, the use of else is if you have a statement to be displayed which is not included in the options, no? Para sinabi, bawa, thank you for using my program. Yan. So, you're going to display another statement. So, that's the time that you may now use the else keyword. Okay? Let's say, okay, how about another syntax? For syntax number 2, The same lang din, no? But in this case, in every statement number 1, so you have 3 or more statements to be executed under ng first Boolean expression. So, ganun lang din siya. With the use of open and close curly braces. So, take a look at the example. I'm going to display if the number is positive, negative, or it is equal to 0. So, take a look at the Boolean expression. The first Boolean expression that we have in our program is this. If none is greater than 0, if it is found true, it will execute this one. If it is found false, it will proceed to this one. If I will enter negative 5 or negative 8, it will display name. Now, if I will enter, for example, 0, so the output or the statement to be displayed is equal to 0. Okay? So, yun yung difference, no? So, let's say, niran natin yung program. I enter here number 9. So, it is a positive number. Ayan. So, enter a number again. So, I enter here 0. So, 0 is equal to 0. Ayan. Okay? So, ayan yung example ng else if statement. Ngayon, for your activity, let's say you will enter 98, 99, and 100. You're going to display the equivalent plot 1. Okay, ito yung mga grades ninyo. Pag kayo naka-receive ng 95, 97, ang grade ninyo ay 125. Hindi nyo makikita yung 95 to 97. This will be your grade that will appear on your TOR or transcript of records. Kasi college students na kayo eh. Then 88 to 90, that is 175. If you are always aspiring to become a Dean's Lister, so the lowest grade that you may have is DOS, from 85 to 87. Pero if you are aspiring to become a cum laude, magna cum laude, summa cum laude, pag summa, lat 1. Pag magna, 125. Pag cum laude, 1.5. Okay? Pwede rin naman paminsan-minsan magkaroon kayo ng 175 or DOS, but make sure na mas marami ang plot 1. Okay? Para mabawi. No? Kasi kinocompute yan by units. Or itatawag nating GWA or General Weighted Average. Yan. Then, if your grade, for example, 76, 70 to 78, to 75 ang makikita ninyo. And then, pag 75, pressure. Yan. Gamit kayo dito guys na logical operator na AND. Yan may tip na ako sa inyo. You may now use logical operator na AND. Okay, so last topic, which is about the switch statement. So this statement works like else if because it can execute 3 or more statements in the program. But the switch statement compared to else if, it is more organized, no? Compared to else if. Why? Because everything is being positioned, okay, and explained. Take a look at the syntax. So this one is your expression, the keyword switch, then expression. So you may now use the open and close curly braces to signal the beginning of switch expression. Then we have here case value, then statement 1. We need to use the break keyword so that the second statement will not be displayed on your screen together with statement 1. Kasi kung hindi ninyo ilalagay ang break, pag nirunning nyo yung program, kung ano man yung statement na nakasulat dito, kasama niyang i-display ang statement 1. Kaya, you need to have break in between cases. Okay? And then, yung default, okay, by the way, the 3 dots here, no, guys, we call it as ellipsis. Ibig sabihin, more cases to follow. Okay, default here is optional, guys. No? When I say optional, it is not always needed. in the program. Okay lang na sometimes wala siya. So the use of default is to have another statement which is not included in the list. Let's say, usually kasi guys, the switch statement is used in creating menu. Let's say meron kayo, prelim, midterm, finals, then exit. When I click, or when I choose E, you will say, thank you for using my program, something like that. When you choose P, we're going to compute the grade for prelim. When you choose M, we're going to compute the grade for midterm. And when you choose F, we're going to compute for your finals. So usually the switch statement is used in creating menu in your program. Okay? Yeah. So just read the definition that I included in this lesson. Okay, so I'll give you an example on how to use the switch case statement. I use here, guys, character. I will input letter L, letter R, and letter Q. Okay, let's say, if I will choose I, so the output is left. I'm going to display the word left. And then if I will choose R, I will display the word right. Okay, so there is a break here, etc. So this one, guys, is the choices, no? So default, system.out.println. So every time that you are going to run this program, it is being displayed on your screen. So this one on how to get the value from the keyboard using the card. But make sure, guys, that it is either capital letter or small letter. No? Keyboard card. Yan. So, pag niran ninyo yung program, na lang, gawin na lang ninyo. So, I do not include the output in this example. So, just try it para mas maintindihan ninyo yung sinasabi ko. Okay, then another example. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. For prelim, midterm, and exit. Now, kasi dito sa prelim, guys, before you compute your prelim grades, so sa previous example ninyo, meron kayong class standing, di ba? Quiz, recitation. Just to clarify. Yung iba sa inyo nahirapan mag-compute at mag-analyze ng problem. You are going to input 2 quizzes. So, get first the average. Divide ninyo yun by 2. Then, whatever the result of the average of your quiz, it will be added into your recitation, into your project, for you to compute your class standing. And then, yung class standing ninyo, together with your exam, i-multiply nyo lang yung class standing, then class prelim exam, then divide by 3. So, for you to compute your prelim grade. Okay? So, ito, sa example na to, ay just to display the main menu. Pero there is no computations involved. Okay, let's say, in our example, ito, binigyan ko na kayo ng example. Let's say in our example number 3. Case P, so we have to compute your prelim grade. Ito guys, yung sinasabi ko. So, enter grade for quiz. Ang kaibahan lang, isa lang yung input natin dito. Yung previous example ninyo, dalawa dapat, and compute the average. So, dito, isa lang. Let's say, in-enter ko ay 90. Dito pala, I'm going to input, namang quiz natin, 1, 2, baguhin natin kasi hindi ko binabago yun. Quiz, recitation, and then this one is for project. Yan. So, and then, for our exam. Rating or ER. Yan. So, enter grade for exam rating. Let's say, nag-enter kayo ng 90 for quiz, 90 for recitation, and then P for project, 90 ulit. i-divide niya. You have to enclose with open and close parentheses. Then divide by 3. Then, ito yung computation or formula on how to compute the prelim grade. So, 2 times CS. Again, this another example of a sequence structure, no? Kasi you cannot be able to compute the prelim grade without computing first the class standing. Okay, plus 3. So, for you to display the value for class standing, so use now system.out.println. So, break natin. Kaya ito, itutuloy nyo lang. So, binigyan ko kayo ng sample for prelim grade. So, this time, you're going to continue it on how to compute naman midterm and finals. Okay, so this one is on how to use the default. Invalid input. Let's say, from the choices, you are allowed only to input P, M, and then, dagdagan nyo na lang ito in the finals. Then E. Let's say, nag-enter ako ng O. So, O is not included in the option. Therefore, i-display niya ay invalid input. So, system.in.read, magkakaroon lang siya ng break o kaya naman ay ng space. So, pag nira ninyo, yung program ninyo, ito yung output niya. So, prelim, midterm, and finals. So, dagdagan na lang ng exit, guys, no? Kayo na lang ang mag-lagay. So, please enter your choice. So, ito yung magiging activity ninyo per switch case, wherein you're going to compute the value or the area for circle, rectangle, square, and then exit. So, ito yung sample. Pag chinus ninyo yung letter C, computation ng area ng circle, so meron na tayo yan. The value for radius is 100, and then ito yung pinaka-output nito.